Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture to see how those incidents may or may not affect our daily lives. Listen, we're going to get into this really quick. I did a video earlier about this Lizzo case. I wanted to go over and read to you the judge's decision in regards to why he did not dismiss Lizzo's case outright. And I think that that's important. So I'm going to get my cat on. Shout out to Cat. And I'm going to do a reading of this uh, judge's decision, and we're going to go over it. This video may be a little longer than my 15-20 minute video. So I may break it in half, read half of it, and then come back and read the other half. So I'll just figure that out as I go along. Please like, comment, and subscribe to this video. Please share this video if you care to all your other platforms. And also consider subscribing. And once you subscribe, you'll be open to a plethora of videos where I have done reviews on movies and television series and my incidents in pop culture. And as I have said before, this past year we had strikes. We had the writer's strike, and we also had the actor's strike. And with those strikes, we didn't get a lot of content. And so I just resolved to do a lot more pop culture chats to try to keep you all's interest. And you all seem to have gravitated to my Jonathan Majors content. I will tell you that that content looks like it's going to be sparingly uh, after his sentencing. So I hope that those of you all that came to here to rock with me on that Jonathan Majors content, you still stay. You all seem to also gravitate to this type of content where we read court and we talk about court issues in regards to celebrity. I got this piece of hair that is aggravating the stew out of me. All right, let's get into it. Let me share my screen. Let me share my screen. All right. So, if, as I said in the other video, three dancers, Ariana Davis, Crystal Williams, and Noel Rodriguez, sued Big Girl Entertainment, Big Girl Big Touring Company, Melissa Jefferson, professionally known as Lizzo, and as an individual, Shirlene Quigley. All right. So let's read this. This is just going over, I don't know if you can see my maps, but Superior Court of the State of California for the County of Los Angeles West District, Ariana Davis as an individual, Crystal Williams as an individual, and Noel Rodriguez as an individual are the plaintiffs, and they are versus Big Girl Big Touring Incorporated, a Delaware corporation, Melissa Jefferson, professionally known as Lizzo, as an individual, Shirlene Quigley as an individual, and does 1 through 10 inclusive. I think that there's some other people that are being sued as well, but we go back to that. So this is a tentative order granting in part and denying in part defendants Big Girl Big Touring Incorporated, Melissa Jefferson, and Shirley Quigley special motion to strike portions of plaintiff's complaint. So it goes on with the background, and we will read that accordingly. It says plaintiffs Ariana Davis, Crystal Williams, and Noel Rodriguez, collectively plaintiffs, filed this employment discrimination action against defendants Big Girl Big Touring, uh, further known as BGBT, Melissa Jefferson, further known as Lizzo, and Shirlene Quigley, further known as Quigley and collectively defendants. According to the operative complaint, plaintiffs are professional dancers who worked with Lizzo. Plaintiffs allege that in March 2021, Davis Williams first met as contestants on her reality show uh, called Watch Out for the Big Girls. The show centered on contestants competing for the opportunity to join Lizzo as dancers on her tour and live performances. Plaintiffs contends that Rodriguez was hired in or around May 2021 by Lizzo and BGBT for a music video and later as part of a performance group that Lizzo that supported Lizzo during live shows. While Rodriguez was working on a music video for Lizzo, she claimed she was approached with another job opportunity that would require her to work during the same period as rehearsals for Lizzo's show. Plaintiff claims Rodriguez spoke with Lizzo's tour manager Carlina Gugliotta, about taking this opportunity, which Gugliotta stated, "Do you want the job or not?" implying that Rodriguez should not take any other jobs while hired as a tour dancer. Plaintiff Davis and Williams contend they were first introduced to Quigley, to defendant Quigley, in and around August 2021, which was when filming of Watch Out for the Big Girls began. Quigley was allegedly vocal about her religious beliefs and purportedly proselytized whenever the opportunity arose. Plaintiffs assert that Quigley was particularly interested in Davis and preached at her about their shared Christian identity. After finding out about Davis' virginity while filming, Quigley purportedly made a point of bringing up that in the following months and sharing it in interviews and other social media without Davis' permission. That's wild. That's really wild. That's wild. Plaintiffs allege that one of the requirements for Watch Out for the Big Girl was a nude photo shoot that made some contestants uncomfortable, including Davis. Davis claimed she did not want to be photographed nude, but felt she'd be sent home if she refused or did not perform well. Davis claims that she broke down in tears from the stress and was eventually allowed to participate partially clothed. Plaintiffs assert that both William and Davis were chosen to be part of the dance team accompanying Lizzo on tour. Plaintiffs performed with Lizzo from September 2021 to April 2022. In April 2022, plaintiffs began preparing for Lizzo, the special tour, and worked closely with Quigley, the captain of the dance team. Plaintiffs state that Quigley continued to proselytize to everyone around her regarding Christianity and sexuality. She purportedly derided those who engaged in premarital sex, spoke about her masturbation habits, spoke about her sexual fantasies, and would simulate oral sex on a banana. Okay, we'll continue. That was a lot. I wasn't expecting to read that part. I think we'd read an overview of that, but I wasn't expecting to see that unless I had forgotten about that, which made plaintiffs uncomfortable. Plaintiffs contend that Quigley's continued to minister to them by keeping tabs on Davis's virginity, preaching at Rodriguez for being a non-believer, interrogating Davis about her religious beliefs, and becoming upset if Davis disagreed. Quigley was allegedly not the only one, however, as the others in a supervisory role at BGBT would allegedly have prayer circles prior to rehearsals and performances. Okay. I know that I know that I've seen artists do that right before they go on a show. I didn't, yeah, but I don't think that they make it mandatory. Those that believe and they will pray. I don't think I don't know. Again, I'm not there. But I didn't think that that was something that people were made to do. But I know that that happens. I know that I see prayer circles. Um, I've seen Beyonce do it. I've seen Mary J. Blige do it. I think I've even seen, I've seen, I've seen artists do that. I've seen artists do that. Uh, Plaintiff states that while the prayer circle was not an official requirement, it soon became clear to them that the failure to participate was looked down upon. Rodriguez purportedly did not want to lead the prayer, but was pressured to do so. Plaintiffs claim that complaints regarding Quigley's proselytizing Plaintiffs claim that complaints regarding Quigley's proselytizing and instances of sexual harassment by bus drivers went unaddressed by management, although management claims to the contrary, especially as to the bus drivers. So we got the bus drivers sexually harassing the drivers? Child, a mess. But again, this is the judge's conclusion, or his this is the judge's verdict in regards to the dismissal of Lizzo's case. He did not dismiss it, and this is his reasoning as to why. After the domestic portion of the tour came to an end in November 2022, plaintiffs began to look for work to fill the time until the European leg of the tour was to begin on February 2023. Because BGBT preferred that the plaintiffs took on no additional jobs, it instructed plaintiffs' agents to place plaintiff on a soft hold, meaning plaintiffs would not be paid during this gap period, but also could not take on other work. And that doesn't seem, y'all, that seems like there is some kind of contractual thing. And I think as dancers and things like that, if you've got an agent, I see these people say, they said that they talked to their agent, they should be financially compensated for that. If they want them to be on a quote unquote soft hold, then those people should be financially compensated, because bills don't stop on no soft hold. And I mean, that's just real. Bills don't stop on a hold. So if you want to keep somebody in a holding pattern, you need to pay them for being in that holding pattern. You need to pay them for being just exclusively allowed to wait on you. Now, I don't know how much money that would be, but they should be paid. They should be paid. Plaintiffs learned, however, that other members of the tour were on a retainer, meaning that they were paid a portion of their tour rate during breaks in exchange for not taking any jobs. Now, see, that's what I was saying. That sounds right. That reminds me of teachers. You know how teachers don't work in the summer, so they usually don't get paid in the summer. However, they can take their check, instead of it being like for 9 months, they can spread it out for 12 months. And so that way that they're still getting paid during the summer hours that they're not working. Some teachers do that because some teachers don't work during those summer periods. And then some teachers do. Some teachers decide to take a part time job. Some teachers decide, to take a part time job or do some consulting work, whatever it is, or to work, whatever it is. But their checks are spread out, and then they can make a little extra money until their school starts. Plaintiffs contend that they performed with Lizzo at her Amsterdam show in February 2023. After the show, Lizzo invited the dancers out with her at night. Plaintiffs concede that attendance was not mandatory, but they assert that those who attended such events were favored by Lizzo, selected to perform with her more regularly, and enjoyed better job security. So there was perks, and that to me is a perk for you going out and hanging out and hanging out publicly with Lizzo. And a lot of people will say, well, no, that's just, you can do that. But that's a perk, because that's not what they're here for. That's not what they're paid for. And anybody can see that if you are out and about and out in the town and you go out with Lizzo, of course, those people that go out with Lizzo, she's going to notice them. That's just human doggone nature. And we can sit up here. We know it's not right, but we also know that that's human nature. We also know that people do that. So I am quite sure that those dancers that went out with her that night and subsequently any other night, they were given plum rolls. They were doing things. You see that in the corporate world. You see people who brown nose, who are up under their bosses, and they go to social events that their bosses is throwing, everything like that. You see that they get better favor because the bosses know their name, they have socialized with them, and all those different things. Is it fair? No, but it happens. Let's continue. Plaintiffs contend that Davis and Rodriguez was rushed into accepting Lizzo's invitation without knowing that the club was Banana Bar, where patrons interacted with nude performers. Davis and Rodriguez claimed that they tried to withdraw after learning about the club but were unable to do so. Excuse me. Didn't mean to do that. Excuse me. They assert that things got out of hand when they reached the club. Specifically, Lizzo and others allegedly pressured Davis into touching the naked breast of one of the performers, despite Davis's expressing her discomfort both verbally and physically. Later, when the tour was in Paris, Lizzo invited the dancers out to Crazy Horse without explaining that this was a new cabaret bar. So they went to two different bars. I remember hearing about the Amsterdam bar, but I don't remember hearing about this Paris bar. But let's continue. Plaintiffs state that around March 9th, the dancers team submitted a request for a retainer of 50% with their weekly tour rate during the quote unquote soft hold periods to BGBT and Lizzo, a number consistent with what was some others were getting. On March 16, the dance team received an email from Ashley Joshi, a BGBT accountant who offered a retainer. In the email, Joshi scolded the dancers for their unacceptable and disrespectful behavior on tour, but did not explain specifically what behaviors triggered this comment and informed the dance team that such behavior was ground for termination. Interesting. How is the accountant, Ashley Joshi, talking about inappropriate behavior? Is she not in the office somewhere, uh, flipping papers and stuff like that? Is she considered to be a supervisor? Does her position as the accountant give her supervisory roles that she can then be able to uh, review the dance team's performance? Usually, accountants, if they are supervising anybody, they would be supervising the people who are up under them, helping them account for the money uh, in the payment ledger and the uh, payoff ledgers and all those little different things, and making sure that people get their money, honey. So that's interesting to me because usually accountants don't have anything to do with that. This would be behaviors that I would believe that the dance captain, that the supervisors in the BGBT tour, who was ever going to the road manager, these would be things that I would believe that they would do. But then again, this could be a very small company and everybody takes on multiple roles. But let's continue. Plaintiffs point out that the dance team is comprised of full figured women of color, and plaintiffs assert that only they were spoken to in this way, meaning other groups were allegedly treated differently. Interesting. While BGBT did eventually agree to a larger retainer, management allegedly treated the Black members of the dance team differently than others, calling the Black dancers lazy and unprofessional, stereotypical tropes purportedly aimed at deriding plaintiffs based on their race. And what have I told you all? And let me be very, very clear. Black folk, your bigotry towards each other but in the law can be considered racism. If you're talking this stereotypical talk about each other, and particularly if you are an employer to your employee, be very, very careful about what you say, how you say it, and when you say it. That's why it's so important to say what you mean and mean what you say and stand firm in the words that you say. You can't be an employer and talk that shucking and jiving stuff to your employees. You can't play the dozens with your employees. You can't call them different names and things like that unless you have documentation that someone has eyewitnessed what you're saying. You just can't come off and say these things. And this leads me also to believe that there was probably in management, you probably had people of who were probably Caucasian or of some other racial makeup. On April 20th, 2023, the dance team had an 8-hour rehearsal schedule. At the end of the rehearsal, Lizzo appeared. Lizzo purportedly stated that the dancers were not up to par and accused them of drinking before shows. Plaintiffs contend that Lizzo made the re-audition for their spots and the 8-hour rehearsal extended to a grueling 12 hours. Plaintiffs asserted that the re-audition process was brutal. Davis allegedly had to use the restroom, but felt like she might be fired if she left the stage at any point during the audition. Plaintiff stated that Davis eventually lost control of her bladder, but still fearing termination, danced in her soiled clothing until she could run off to change during a brief break. On April 21st, Lizzo called another meeting with the dance team to reiterate that none of their jobs were safe and reiterated that drinking before shows were prohibited. That leads me to believe that there was a culture of drinking, and that culture of drinking may have then manifested that there may be some people who drank a little bit more than others, or who could hold their liquor better than more than others. That leads me that there was a culture of this, to bring that up, because that should have been stated before the job. We're not drinking before the show. Lizzo can do what she want to do because she's the boss. This is her show. She is, she is the employer. She can do what she want to. But this seems like there was a culture, uh, a business culture, a very loose, uh, of a with a sexual nature, with alcohol, with people being racially incendiary with their words, some bigotry, some of these things. It seems like there was a veil of culture with that. And what I mean by that, it may not happen every day, but there's just a veil of it. And when you have that, and if you talk to anybody that has had, in racism, that's stressful within itself. That is a stressful situation. So it sounds like there was a veil of it. And sometimes we as Black folks think that just because we're Black folk, that our bigotry, we can be bigots. And we'll say, well, that doesn't translate into racism. But when you're looking at the law, it can. The actions can seem and be similar, because you can't tell the difference. You can't tell the difference in the behaviors that we're speaking and we're talking. But let's continue. Plaintiffs assert that Williams spoke up and said that dancers did not drink before shows, which resulted in tension between Lizzo, management, and Williams, with the rejoinder that the declining quality of the performance was the reason for the accusation. That same day, Davis was called into a meeting with Lizzo and the choreographer, Tanisha Scott, during which they questioned whether she was struggling with something because she seemed less committed to her position. Davis claimed the two pressured her for an explanation about her personality changes. However, these comments were purportedly really focused on Davis's weight gain, given Lizzo's statement after a music festival on that specific point. Yeah. You see, this is why I know some of these things are just facades, this body positivity and stuff like that. Sometimes I just think it's a facade, that it's okay for Lizzo to be fat, but it ain't okay for nobody else to be fat. Because how is she commenting on this woman's weight gain when the whole show's premise was watch out for the big goods? But I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. Um, Given Lizzo's statement after a music festival about that specific point, Davis disclosed that she had anxiety and depression and had been diagnosed with an eating disorder. Davis reiterated her commitment to the tour, but Lizzo and Scott allegedly dismissively offered her time off for therapy. Plaintiffs assert that Davis felt that if she accepted the offer, they would see her as too weak for the tour, so Davis declined because she felt it was the only way she could keep her job. It should be noted that defendants contended that there were no hidden motives and that they were trying only to be supportive, um, and accommodate Davis. Williams was terminated around April 26, 2023, in the hotel lobby by Gugliotta under the guise of budget cuts. Rodrigo later questioned Gugliotta on her decision to terminate Williams in a public place. The dance on April 27th, the dancers were called into a meeting with Lizzo, purportedly to discuss notes on their dancing. However, according to plaintiffs, once in the room, Lizzo addressed Williams' firing and demanded to know who questioned her decision to fire Williams. Plaintiffs state that Lizzo said that she preferred that the dance team did not socialize with Williams before she left. Lizzo also allegedly added that Weight gain was a cause of termination and supposedly looked at Davis. Plaintiffs claim that Davis suffers from an eye condition that causes her sometimes to be disoriented in a stressful situation. And in such situations, she had a habit of making recordings so she can review them later. Davis claimed that she recorded this particular meeting due to its stressful nature. According to Davis, the recording was done in order to mitigate any issues that might be caused by her disability. So, child, did she look like she was rolling her eyes? I wonder if that's the case. Because I know some people, I know that when I get stressed, my eye twitches. So I was wondering if that's something that happened. So let's continue on. Child, we are only on page 6 and we have been here for 26 minutes. Plaintiffs contend that the dancers were called into an emergency wardrobe fitting on May 3rd. They were made to hand in their phones when they arrived. Plaintiffs assert that Lizzo then entered and furiously stated that she knew that someone had recorded the prior meeting. She purportedly threatened to go to person by person to learn who made the recording, but before she actually did so, Davis admitted that she recorded it. Davis explained that she wanted to have a copy of the notes Lizzo had given them and that she had already deleted the recording. Plaintiffs say Davis was fired on the spot. According to defendants, Davis admitted not only recording the prior meeting, but sending the recording to Williams, which was a violation of Davis' contract, and this is why Davis was fired. As Lizzo was leaving, Rodriguez claimed to have stopped her and stated that she did not appreciate how Lizzo handled the situation and resigned on the spot. Plaintiffs assert that Lizzo then aggressively approached Rodriguez, cracking her knuckles, balling her fist, and stating, "You're lucky. You were so fucking lucky." Whew, child. Rodriguez contends that she feared that Lizzo was going to hit her and would have done so, just that the other dancers not intervened. Plaintiffs state that the other dancers escorted Rodriguez back to her room due to their fear that Lizzo might return. Plaintiffs contend that Davis was forced to stay behind in the meeting room by Lizzo's security guard. Under the watch of the tour's core manager, the guard allegedly went through Davis's phone and iCloud to confirm whether the recording had been deleted. Davis claimed she was scared and wanted to leave the room. That's the imprisonment, which is why she agreed to having her phone searched. She stated that she felt like she could not leave, however, until her phone was searched. Currently before the court, the defendant's special motion to strike SMS the complaint plaintiffs opposed. This matter was previously on before the court on November 22nd. At that point, the court requested that the parties provide additional authority interpreting language contained in Lau versus Warner Brother Productions 2006 regarding the viability of sexual harassment where no desperate treatment or impact was alleged. The parties have submitted their list of case and the matter is now ripe for resolution. All right. We got to the so we'll stop here because we're already 30 minutes in and I will leave. We're going to start here and then we're going to go to evidential issues in the next video. Okay. All right. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. We're going to go part 2 of this video. So please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye.